Hi there, good afternoon. Well, it's morning. Good morning to you and welcome to Newsroom here on GHOne TV. My name is Lily Mohammed. Coming up in the next 60 minutes, Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition impresses upon the West African Examination Council WAEC to ensure strict monitoring in this year's BECE, which commences on Monday. In this bulletin, we also assess the impact of the strike by the Civil and Local Staff Association of Ghana as it enters day 3. Political scientist urges newly affirmed NPP running mate Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh to work to court support of the general public to enhance party's chance of winning the 2024 general elections. And the National Petroleum Authority gives assurance of reducing the price of LPG in the face of soaring costs of that commodity. Hello again. We do apologize for the break in transmission. Let's settle for the details of the stories. The Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition is impressing upon the West African Examination Council WAEC to ensure strict monitoring and beef up of security in this year's BECE. The exam over the years has been characterized by incidents of exam malpractices, among others, raising concerns of the integrity of the exam, among others. As pupils prepare for this year's BECE, which starts on Monday, July 8, 2024. The NEC is urging WAEC to strengthen monitoring to ensure reduced incidents of exam malpractice. Let's speak to the issues. Benes Impere Jeche is National Coordinator for NEC, and she's joined us via Zoom. Madam, good morning to you. I hope you're doing well.
Morning. By God's grace, I hope you're also doing well.
I'm doing fantastic myself. Now, year on, year out, we keep experiencing, we keep recording incidents of exam malpractices. What is it that we are missing or we are failing to address?
All right. Thank you very much for this opportunity. One thing that we can say is maybe the timely release of funds from government to WAEC to enable them to prepare adequately for this examination. And then also maybe inadequate monitoring and supervision by WAEC and then the invigilators leads to this examination malpractices. So we continue to engage stakeholders and then urge them to make sure that at least every year we improve on how the exams are conducted, making sure that we reduce all forms of malpractices. We make sure that invigilation and everything go well, and also avoid any form of leakages, examination leakages before the actual day of the examination starts. So we are so much concerned about this. And then on the part of the learners or the students, we also urge all stakeholders, especially parents, to really advise their wards before they leave home for the exams. They should caution them that they should not cheat in the examination hall. They should not do anything bad, but they should rather rely on whatever they have learned so that they can pass well, so that their future is not jeopardized by any form of malpractices that may be done by a ward. And then we urge all stakeholders to also come in.
I know you are asking for strengthening of monitoring and security. Now, what is the causative agent to the incidence of malpractices that we experience? Every year we talk about it, but we still go into the exam and come out with incidents or cases of malpractice.
Yes, so one thing we are looking at is that we've realized that information regarding the examination is limited to the learners alone in the schools. Other stakeholders, community members are not involved on how they can all support for us to monitor the exams properly. For whatever reason, we don't know why. Even teachers themselves help the students to be involved in malpractices by solving questions for them by providing them with answers, even in the examination hall. This is one of our major concerns. And this is where we call on the teacher unions, we call on other stakeholders, heads of schools, district education directors, to ensure that they strengthen their system, that no teacher will be spared when such a thing is done. And most of the times when the cases come, we don't get them being punished for the acts that they have done. We only hear the story, but we don't hear what has been done to that teacher to deter other teachers or other stakeholders for supporting examination malpractices.
But there have been several calls for scrapping of WAEC. Has WAEC outlived its usefulness? From where you sit?
Sorry, please come again.
I'm asking if WAEC has outlived its usefulness.
Oh, no, we cannot say that that has been the case, but they only have to put in more measures. With what they have done, we realize that there is more to be done. They should do more to at least make sure that those little loopholes are being closed. Because mostly the examination become very successful, but then those little loopholes that are still identified in some centers jeopardizes all the hard work that they have done. So they should ensure that all those little loopholes are closed so that we have a very clean and successful examination every year.
Okay. Thank you very much, Madam, for speaking to us. That's BECE Mperejeche. She's National Coordinator for the Ghana National Education Coalition. Let's move on and do other stories. Today marks the third day of the industrial action by the Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana, CLOGSAG, over government's failure to implement a new salary structure that was agreed upon in 2020 on Wednesday. CLOGSAG members opted out of a scheduled meeting with the National Labour Commission, the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, and the Ministries of Finance and Employment and Labour Relations. The ongoing strike is significantly affecting government operations as most offices visited over the last couple of days have been deserted by members of the association. From the regions, what the situation is. We've gone around the ministries, areas and agencies here in the Greater Accra region, but what is the situation on the ground when it comes to the regions? Let's head to the Western region. Joseph Kobinamwa joins me. Joseph, what's the situation in the Western region as we speak?
I think the situation is no different from all other regions, all other 16 regions in the country. I'm currently at the Ifia Municipal Assembly, and the ones or usual busy offices of the Municipal Assembly is actually dead silent. I have been able to enter through to the main compound of the facility, and you can tell that no officer or no CLOGSAG member is actually working. You could monitor that the place is actually dead silent, unless for the few commercial shops that are around that have been open, but the main offices are actually locked at the moment. I spoke to the PRO for the Municipal Assembly off record, and he maintained that they are actually on strike, and so it's not the usual thing that most of the time you'd get people, some officers sneaking in to do some works. However, this time everyone is actually on strike and abided by the association heads. Also, I spoke to the Western Regional Secretary, Mr. Kwame Teria, and he vehemently intimated that until their issues or their concerns are addressed, they are not returning to their office. And he noted that it seems that most of the times government would want to neglect their concerns because it seems that when they go on strike or such strike action is undertaken, there may be no loss of lives. However, in the coming weeks, we may feel the brunt if we may be going to the various CLOGSAG offices or various government establishments for either land registration or birth registration or any other thing that involves the government establishment or officers from these offices having to handle them for the general public. And so the case is actually so here at many offices within the Western region. All other CLOGSAG officers have been directed by their union members or their union leaders not to return to work until government responds to their concern. And a surprise, another thing I notice here is that most of the times hawkers would usually come in here, those who sell eggs, watermelons, and any other consumables, who rely on most of the time the resources or the human resource or the consumers from these offices. But today I've seen some of them who are actually devastated that they've come in here and they've noticed that most of the officers are not around, and so they have to go back and run through town to get some make some ends meet from what they are selling. And so that's what the situation is here currently here, as I'm reporting from the Ifeakwe Municipal Assembly.
I don't know if you're picking wind of any information whatsoever regarding when they are likely to respond. They have failed to honor meetings with the Finance Ministry, Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, and the employer, the Employment Ministry. Does it appear that, well, they will come back to their workplaces anytime soon?
We understand today is a Friday and most a weekend, and so if there are going to be any deliberations, I'm sure it might delay. But with my interaction with the PRO for the assembly, he was sort of hinting or was hopeful that probably by Monday there may be some considerable grounds in both parties may reach to ensure that either their concerns are heard and immediately their salary structure is implemented for them to return to work. And so they are not quite definite as to when exactly all of this would end with what they are demanding from their employers.
Joseph, thank you very much for that report. Keep monitoring and update us subsequently. Let's find out the situation in the Ashanti region. My colleague Isaac Justice Bediako joins me with update from that region. Isaac, what's the situation in the Ashanti region?
Lily, the situation remains as it is across the country. In the Ashanti region, the CLOGSAG members are not working. I went to the Regional Coordinating Council just behind the Electoral Commission's regional office, and they are not working simply because of the instruction that has been given to them by their union leaders. I went to the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly to also check from there. The workers are not there. So it's a general situation in the Ashanti region, and it's affecting people who want to do business in a government institution simply because there's no one there to respond to their needs. And that has been a general concern from public who wants to do government business with government agencies in the Ashanti region.
When I engaged Kobinamwa, he mentioned that people who come around, those in the informal sector, are also crying because when these people are not at work, it affects their businesses. Have you seen them around? Have you been able to engage them as well?
Yeah, that's the situation because behind the Regional Coordinating Council, there's a woman who's a kinky there. As we speak, she is not there. The Wachisala also did not come today. So they are all suffering from this decision taken by the government agency workers simply because when they cook, nobody is there to buy from them. And that has been their concern. Even though they are on strike, they are also concerned because it is also, the strike is also affecting them, though they are resting in their homes, but there are other side things that they do in their agencies and they think that they get something small, but they are sacrificing for it when I spoke to some of them off record. So it's a general situation in the Ashanti region. People who trade around the municipal and district assemblies are not doing business because the people who they serve are not working. And so when they do, they provide them, they prepare food for them, it will be at their cost, their own cost, and therefore there's no need to come. So they are also affected by this decision taken by the CLOGSAG members.
Now, Isaac, let me move away from labor agitations. And then, you know that the Ashanti region is in the spotlight just after the announcement of Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh as the running mate to Dr. Bawumia. What is the climate like? What's the mood in the Ashanti region?
Well, it comes as a great news to the NPP supporters in the Ashanti region. And of course, Ashantis will tell you, so once he's coming from Ashanti region and he has a royalty background, and they think it's a good news, and they are hoping that he will be able to up the party's gains in the Ashanti region. Don't forget that a lot of people are concerned about the performance of the government in the Ashanti region, because here being the World Bank of the NPP, they expect that there will be much developmental projects in their region. However, that is not what they are seeing. the road construction from Swami Roundabout through to Bremai. There's no serious road construction going on there. From Bekwai Roundabout through to Anyang Kwanta stretch, the contractors, they just come on the road, but they are not doing serious business there. So the people are concerned about all these things. If you look at the Kumasi economy, the Central Market project, thousands of people have been driven away from the project site, yet there's nothing going on site. So the people think that this government have not served them well, particularly being the NPP, the party that they really support. So they think that with Napo as the running mate, hopefully they'll be able to convince the government to complete these developmental projects that are stalled and it's affecting the economy of Kumasi. So they are excited and they believe that with Napo, things will change so that they will be able to also vote for the NPP, their beloved party. So
talking about voting for the NPP, we're hearing in the airspace that the brother of Napo is succeeding him in Menchia South. Is that the case?
So far, I am aware of two people, one lawyer and Napo's kid brother, who has also expressed interest in contesting this election. But I'm also learning that the family is also considering talking to him to step down so that other people can also continue from there. They don't want it to look like a family seat where Napo is leaving and his junior brother also wants to take over. So all these conversations are going on in the region. But what I do also know is that Napo will officially meet his constituency executives next week to have engagement with them. Then he will thank them. After that, he will leave the constituency for the regional chairman, the constituency chairman to take over. Then he will continue with other political activities that will be assigned to him by the flag bearer of the party. So in Ashanti, some people are excited. Others also believe that once the Ashanti decision has been made, that thing will change. So we will look forward to exciting campaigning activities in Ashanti region.
All right, Isaac, thank you very much for that update. That's Ashanti Regional Correspondent Isaac Justice Bediako. Let's still stay on the political arena. And political science lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Professor Samuel Edujemfi, is urging newly affirmed running mate for the NPP, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, to work hard to court support of the general public to enhance the party's chances of winning the election 2024. National Council unanimously endorsed Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh as running mate yesterday after a crunch meeting with bigwigs of the party. The National Executive Council hosted Dr. Bawumia to give him a platform to defend his selection of the Minister of Energy on his partner for the 2024 general elections, in which the party seeks to make the history by being the first political party under the Fourth Republic to govern for 12 consecutive years. But speaking to GHOne News, Professor Samuel Edujemfi urged Dr. Opoku Prempeh to work on the arrogant tag on him and improve his media appearance.
He's able to reflect on his strengths and weaknesses and be able to patch up here and there to make him more viable as a running mate. At this time of the day, we cannot conjecture. We want to believe that he is up to the task and is willing and committed to deliver results for his party and also for himself. What is essential is that he rolls his sleeves and gets on board and makes sure that he adds a lot to the campaign of his flag bearer. I mean, he's not an angel, of course, neither of us. So he needs to work on that and make sure that he's able to court the sympathy and the support of the general public. And he must be seen to also love, appreciate, and support the work of the media so that in his media appearances from now onward, he will do his best to add to his delight effort. I mean, he's not an angel,
right?
Of course, neither of us. So he needs to work on that and make sure that he's able to court the sympathy and the support of the general public. And he must be seen to also love, appreciate, and support the work of the media so that in his media appearances from now onward, he will do his best to add to his, if you like, effort.
Let's find out what you also have to say about the Bawumia Napo ticket on our various social media pages. Nanama quite standing by with those thoughts. Nanama, what are people saying?
Well, Lily, there's a mixed bunch. When we move over to X here, Senna says, ha ha ha, wahala. December 7 goes sweet. Then we also have the next comment. They have decided. We will also decide December 7. Then when we move on down, we have here Leonard, hashtag 2024 opposing pair, hashtag downgrading of politics. When we scoot further on down, we have Kayaban who says, pride comes before a fall. Welcome to arrogant, boasting liars. Welcome to opposition. Then we have here Oreku who says, unlock Ghana's potential with Dr. Bawumia and Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, the perfect blend of economic progress and visionary leadership. Hashtag Bawumia Napo 2024. Hashtag perfect pair for Ghana. We move over to Instagram. We see here that Amber says, the two shall drive Ghana to the promised land. Then Dramani says, a competent unifier. Then we also have here Aku who says, Afa, we are breaking the 8. Then Godwin adds, Ghana is in safe hands. Hashtag Bawumia Napo 2024. Hashtag perfect pair for Ghana. Then the next comment here, Napo the Great. The same thing here from G Square. Then we have Nana Otabil who says it is well deserved. Then Lawyer Kofi says Bawumia concentrate on finishing the 8 well and go away rather than thinking of breaking the 8 because it's not going to happen. Never. We also have here perfect pair for the development of Ghana. Well, that's what we are able to read out to you. Continue to send us your messages on Instagram, on Facebook and on Twitter. Let's see what happens moving forward. My name is Nanama Akwa. Lily, back over to you.
Thank you very much, Nanama, for those thoughts and comments. This is Newsroom. We are back shortly with more. Stay tuned in. Welcome back from that break. This is Newsroom here on GHOne TV. My name is Lily Mohammed. Now, what does it take to corn a whole nation? And more importantly, why? We may not have answers to these questions, nor find one soon. But in this report, Elik Blim Aoku takes us through 3 of the numerous scandals single-handedly undertaken by fellow Ghanaians. I do apologize to our viewers. I mean, he was one of the people I interviewed, Chef Smith, So I do apologize. On behalf of the network, I do apologize to our viewers. Let's head to the business world. Well, the National Statistics Officers in Anglophone West Africa have re-echoed the importance of the independence of the statistical institutions in order to improve the quality of data and statistical products produced in the sub-region. Director Generals of the various statistical offices are in Accra for the launch of the Amaris Institute of Statistics and Economic Research aimed at benchmarking statistical products and performance of these institutions. These Director Generals have therefore been charged to develop strategies that will improve data dissemination.
The launch of the Amaris Institute forms part of efforts to build the capacity of the National Statistical Offices and create a uniform benchmark for statistical products and performance across the sub-region. The 5 Anglophone West African National Statistical Office heads took turns highlighting the challenges of their statistical systems, with the issue of independence being key among their concerns. Government statistician of the Ghana Statistical Service, Professor Samuel Enim, who bemoaned the low political will in these countries, emphasized the need for the independence of these institutions.
We really need to get to the point where we define our independence based on our authority of the National Statistical System, where the government's statistical services, as we have in the UK, which is independent, can boldly say that if you misuse statistics, we're going to put it in the right way. But if your board is made up of government employees, if the government statistician is scared of political issues, then to a large extent, we are careful in our dispensation.
Director of the African Center for Statistics at the UN Economic Commission for Africa, Dr. Oliver Chiganya, cautioned the heads against being politically aligned to preserve the sanctity of roles.
We should not allow ourselves to be aligned to any political connotation of appointments. I think what we should be striving for is to be as independent as much as possible. We know it means a lot of things when you say independence. We know it's not fully independent because we still get a grant from government. But we are saying that using the fundamental principles of official statistics, that allows to be so.
On his part, Chief Executive Officer of Amaristat, Dr. Emmanuel Fiajo, sheds light on how the Institute would support these NSOs.
Our goal is to take a brief census of all what has been done in the various member countries, and then come up with a program note, one that identifies the specific capacity needs of member countries, and then tailor our support to the various countries' needs, so that it's not going to be one size fits all as we have in other in other countries.
In all, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Gambia, Liberia, and Nigeria are expected to see an improvement in their data production.
Now, Minister for Works and Housing, Opoku Prempeh, has lamented the significant deficit of over 1.8 million in the housing sector. According to him, the situation has resulted in landlords exploiting Ghanaians by charging exorbitant prices for their properties, thereby rendering living conditions unbearable. He therefore urged pension funds and other stakeholders to collaborate effectively with the government to address this issue decisively by putting more housing units to make up for the gaps.
One of the key instruments that we will need is the pension funds. So we deem it important that you are here and are a part of the solutions that we are pushing. On the housing front, housing supply, as was mentioned earlier, does not meet demand. We have a deficit of over 1.8 million units, and if you multiply that by the average of 3 persons per household, it tells you the millions of Ghanaians who do not have access to decent, affordable houses. And as a result, landlords and agents take us for granted on a daily basis. Government housing programs have been behind schedule. On other occasions, the failure to complete started projects upon changes in political administration has worsened the problem. The innovative rental assistance program introduced by the Vice President, His Excellency Dr. Bawumia, requires more resources to make more impact nationwide. The mortgage market in Ghana remains very shallow and inaccessible to the majority of Ghanaians. The need to aggressively tackle the effects of climate change and high tides on our coastal community.
Now, the National Petroleum Authority, the NP, has expressed concern over the soaring cost of liquefied petroleum gas in Ghana. According to the NPA, the situation is threatening efforts to ensure that 50% of Ghanaian households use LPG by 2030. It has assured consumers that it will do all it can to bring the price of LPG down to make it more affordable.
The rising cost of liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, in Ghana has become a pressing issue with significant price increases over the years. Prices surged from 5.81 cedis per kilogram in January 2020, which is 84 cedis for a 14.5 kilogram cylinder, to 182 Ghana cedis by December 2023, with some outlets charging as high as 230 Ghana cedis by March 2024. This increase has been partly attributed to the National Petroleum Authority and their failure to reduce the premium for bulk distribution companies by $70 per tonne. The LPG Marketers Association has pointed to a slight uptick in world crude prices and an $80 per metric tonne tax imposed to support the government's cylinder recirculation model as key factors driving the price hike. The situation has raised concerns among consumers and experts, especially since LPG, previously subsidized to promote affordability, now bears multiple taxes and levies following the removal of all subsidies. Grace Zate, a food vendor in Koforidua, says the high cost of LPG and other factors discourages her from using LPG.
Omupe na gas no na akwese bia nsu ato mi hu akire mi sana na me dia share tokrum na me yusu.
CEO of the NPA, Mustafa Hamid, acknowledged the impact of high LPG prices on discouraging the use of wood as fuel, particularly in rural areas. He assured that the NPA is working to lower LPG prices to make it more accessible to the average Ghanaian family, aiming for 50% of Ghanaian households to use LPG as a major cooking method by 2030.
The NPA takes a serious view of the rising prices of LPG because, quite frankly, to the extent that LPG remains expensive or costly, we will not be able to persuade the vast majority of Ghanaians, especially those in the rural areas, to stop or avoid the use of wood.
He stated NPA's efforts to facilitate LPG distribution through the establishment of bottling plants and cylinder exchange points, viewing this model as a game changer in job creation.
To then collect already filled cylinders and take to people's homes and give it to them in exchange for their empty cylinders, so that people don't even have to walk from their homes to exchange points in order to pick cylinders. So this cylinder recirculation model really will be a very huge, if you want, resource or avenue for engaging the vast numbers of unemployed youth that we have in our country.
Deputy Energy Minister Collins Adomako-Mensah reiterated the government's commitment to expanding the use of clean energy, noting investments and distribution of 28,000 LPG stoves and accessories across 13 districts.
We are striving to ensure that every citizen comprehends the immense benefits of clean. It is not merely a convenience, it is a conscious effort towards a greener, healthier, and more prosperous. However, the journey towards cleaner and healthier cooking practices is not solely a government effort. It's a collective vision that requires active participation from every citizen.
Eastern Regional Minister Seth Kwame Champong called for continued investment to increase access and awareness of LPG usage.
It is crucial that we continue to work collaboratively to address the challenges that remain in the LPG sector. We must continue to invest in infrastructural development, improve supply chain management, and promote awareness about the safe usage of LPG.
The NPA and its partners under the supervision of the Ministry of Energy says since 2017, the first step has been to construct bottling plants that will be the main pivot around which the cylinder recirculation policy will operate.
And so that's it for the news. My name is Lily Mohammed. Kindly log on to starfm.com.gh for more news updates. Do have a good afternoon and enjoy your weekend. I'll see you on Monday morning.